Hello, this is Dr. Eric Bricker, and thank you for watching AHealthcareZ. Today's topic is hospital politics as a barrier to change. Now, organizations, all organizations, are political structures. And this is according to a Harvard Business Review article from 1970. Now, what do they mean by that? That means that organizations distribute authority and exercise power. Organizations include hospitals. I remember when I was a medical student, I was sitting down with the ophthalmology attending, the head of the department, and he said the exact same thing. He said all organizations, by definition, are political. And he was talking about hospital politics in that particular situation. And I have remembered that lesson to today. And look, the Harvard Business Review is saying the exact same thing. So let's examine politics within a hospital, and I'm going to tell you how it really works. So, there's a fantastic newsletter that I've referred to before from Just Healthcare, it's a couple of consultants, one of which is a radiologist who used to work for the Advisory Board Company, which is a big hospital consulting firm that's actually owned by United Healthcare now. And from their newsletter from May 1st of this year, 2020, they talk to, probably the best part of this newsletter is where they talk to hospital executives across the country, and then they anonymously report what those conversations are like in this newsletter. So you really get a pulse on what's on the mind and what are the priorities of hospital executives. And this is what this newsletter said. It said that, and this is from 3 different hospital executives at various parts of the country, so not a huge sample size obviously, but it's from disparate parts of America, where they said, look, because of coronavirus, they are delayering their healthcare systems. They are eliminating duplication within their healthcare system, and they are doing system-wide service line management. Now, what does that mean? Well, delayer and eliminate, that means cutting out the waste. It means getting rid of excess bloat within the organization. Now, all organizations have some degree of waste and bloat, and arguably hospitals had a ton, but note that these executives are using coronavirus as an opportunity to take action on this. Now, I'm not saying whether that's good or bad or they're going to cut away necessary services. I'm just saying it's on their mind and they're doing it. Now, this last statement here, system-wide service line management, what in the world does that mean? That's sort of hospital consultant speak for, okay, system-wide, meaning across the hospital system. In other words, typically a hospital system has like 4 or 8 or like 20 hospitals. Service line means like the department of ophthalmology, the department of orthopedic surgery, the internal medicine department, OBGYN, etc. So they're actually moving to where like OBGYN or orthopedics are somewhat or maybe more standardized across all those hospitals. Yes, that's right. Oftentimes they're not, okay? They are not. Each individual department at each individual hospital is oftentimes its own fiefdom politically. And this is exactly what they say in their newsletter in the very next sentence. They said, it has been politically difficult previously to make these changes, which is why I talked about politics at the beginning. One of the biggest hindrances to making these changes has been hospital politics. Now, it has become urgent, in their words, because of the decreased revenue from coronavirus. So they're saying, look, we have a crisis. We, as the executives, are going to use this crisis to make some changes that needed to be made a long time ago. They're long overdue. The letter itself says these things needed to happen, but they were not happening for political reasons. What do I mean by that? Let me give you a specific example. What this means is that departments like neurosurgery or a cardiologist, the neurosurgeon or the cardiologist, who's the head of the Department of Neurosurgery or Cardiology, has a department in each individual hospital, and that particular cardiologist or neurologist is the head of that department. And as a result of that, each individual, let's say cardiology department or neurosurgery department, at each individual hospital, they have duplicate administration. So they might have like their own schedulers, they might not have centralized scheduling. They might have their own billers, they might not have centralized billing. They might have their own procurement people. They might not have centralized procurement, right? They have policy variations. So like for a different specialty like gastroenterology, in some places they might have what's called open endoscopy, where you can schedule a screening colonoscopy with a gastroenterologist without a prior exam. But in other hospitals, their department of gastrology might be like, look, we're not going to do that. So they would have different policies. They might also have policies about whether you need to have quote unquote cardiac clearance before you have a particular surgical procedure done. Quote unquote cardiac clearance is highly controversial within the cardiology and surgery circles. So the point is that you have policy variations within the same health system depending on which hospital you went to. And also they would have purchasing differences. Like the neurosurgery department at one particular hospital might be like, look, we really like these screws and plates for our surgeries. And at a different hospital, they might have different policies around that. And each individual neurosurgeon might even have their own preferences around that. And there's like no standardization around that for politically difficult reasons. What is the politically difficult reasons? Why can't the hospital system get these doctors in line? It's because the hospital system needs to appease the high dollar generating proceduralists. Remember that proceduralists, surgeons, cardiologists, etc., are typically not on the payroll. They are not on the staff of the hospital. They are independent practitioners. Oftentimes, they may also practice at competing hospital systems. They might perform procedures at hospital system X on Monday and at hospital system Y on Tuesday. So, in order to keep the procedure and the patient volume coming to the hospital system, the hospital system has to kind of bow to the neurosurgeons or the cardiologist's wishes. Now, I'm being rather extreme here, but I have seen this firsthand, where the scoliosis surgeon at a hospital that I'm very familiar with brought in upwards of half of all of the surgery revenue for that hospital. So he was incredibly politically powerful within that hospital because he brought in so much revenue. And guess what? The hospital would bend over backwards to appease him. I mean, many people thought that they even built this hospital specifically for him so that he could do his scoliosis surgeries there. So that is pulling away the curtain a little bit and letting you see how power and authority are distributed within a hospital, how that has affected the way hospitals are organized, and how that is potentially going to change because of coronavirus. And thank you for watching AHealthcareZ.